Greetings, guys. Welcome back to my channel. My name is Monette, and this is my channel, Evolve with Monette. For those of you that are new here, I am a professional intuitive empath, and today I'm going to opine about something that has been on my mind since January 6th and the insurrection. Donald Trump is America's karmic. I'm not even going to hold you. We're going to get right into it. If you are triggered, if you are any other political affiliation, don't assume what I am. You don't know. But what I do know is I'm looking at this from a metaphysical perspective. Let me explain. Years ago, I used to have a radio show, and my station manager was a Republican, and this is while Trump was campaigning. And I thought, surely this must be a joke, as many of us thought, and that's why we didn't pay attention to the mirrors and smoke, yeah? So I was talking to him, and we would have conversations after my broadcast, and because in my broadcast I would espouse and express some of my own beliefs, political and religious and or racially identified, and he would want to counter that or explain to me his side. He was retired military and was friends with many diplomats. He was in special ops, so he had a lot of behind the scenes knowledge of how the government works and whatnot. And he was like, this is not as bad as I could get. I've lived in, Costa Rica, I was in Cuba and like Bay of Pigs and all that stuff, right? So we would talk about things like that. But I said to him, Jeff, this is not about the fact that this is about a political affiliation. This is about me assessing the heart of a man as a metaphysical empath. The show that I was doing was a spiritual show. So he was very clear about who I was and how I operated. So the energy that was between us was always like, I'm coming at this from this perspective, not from knowing every single bit of political jargon and being able to, actually walk you through through all of that. I was looking at the merit, the measure of a man. And as the Bible says, he was weighed in the balance as far as I was concerned and found wanting. Clearly, history has also agreed. But years before, it wasn't just me, but it was a lot of just me's. Does that make sense? A lot of people that had that same opinion, like, something's wrong here, yeah? Well, he would always explain to me, like, it could get so much worse, girl. You just don't know. It could get so much worse. And he was right. It did. Karmics first. Let's talk about it. What happened that preceded Trump? We had Obama. I love Obama, so disclaimer, message, trigger warning, I love him. Same birthday, all that jazz, love him, love him, love him. We're Leos, love him. However, I did feel like there were mistakes that were made and things that I didn't like and things that I wish he had said or things I wish he hadn't said, just like anybody else. You can like somebody and be objective, or so I thought until I saw Trump supporters. They lost all objectivity. You can like someone, vote for someone, and still think there is room for constructive criticism and growth here. However, what I will say is that we had someone steady. Obama, let's get out of the political part of it, represents the marriage that's healthy, where you are supported, you are loved, you are seen, and even when mistakes are made, they're acknowledged and spoken about. There's direct communication, there's compassion, there's empathy. That would be your divine counterpart for those of divine feminines that are here watching, right? So that's your person that really lifts you and elevates you and actually shows up for you. And you may get what we call in a marriage, what is this, a 7-year itch, right? Or the 8-year itch when stuff goes screwy and you're like, I'm so sick of all this goodness and he's cooking dinner and he's saying nice things and I want some excitement. I'm bored. America got bored. And so they sought the excitement that they wanted, and oh boy, did we get it in spades. They wanted someone brash who would do things their own way. Similar to what happens when your masculine seeks out a karmic. I want something exciting and something sexy. Doesn't get more sexy or less sexier than a sexual assaulter in chief. Grab him by the pum pum. He said it, not me. However, this is the energy that America said, we want to go this way. That Obama, we'll get back to him another day, or maybe no other day, because he's boring. We no longer are titillated. And what was very titillating, like the karmic, was Donald Trump. He cascaded down those escalators and he came in saying Mexicans were rapists and that he was going to build a wall and that the world was crumbling and he would stop the fall. But what he really did was precipitate the fall. Donald Trump coming down the stairs was the equivalent of a tower moment in tarot. It's when everything gets hit by lightning and there is a schism and the universe folds in on itself and we become people in an alternate reality, a black hole of emptiness. But inside of black holes, there is matter. And what was filled in that black hole was every lower vibrational energy and every whim of this country, our worst selves. We did not rise to our better angels. We lowered the bar to our worst selves. And it was all with an invite of that karmic cascading down the stairs. Many of you can relate to seeing the karmic come into your life and knowing it's a tower moment. It's nothing will ever be right or the same again. But whomever you may have been partnered with needed some excitement. They were bored with all of your goodness and consistency and honesty and truthiness. Truthiness. Wasn't that from Bush? I don't know. But what I will say here is that be careful what you ask for. You always get it. America was the spouse that was ungrateful for a healthy, professorial thinking spouse who provided for you. And we've all seen that dynamic play out. And you think maybe with this karmic, all my dreams are going to come true. But those dreams quickly turn into a nightmare. And it devolves and it devolves and it devolves until we find ourselves right there, January 6th, where it absolutely exploded. And shit hit the bricks, quite literally. Hit the rotunda, hit the walls of the Capitol that hadn't been breached since the 1800s, but it was breached by Karens and Kens and angry women and men who felt entitled to a democracy they felt was stolen, and that was a lie. What do we know about karmics and what they do? They lie, right? So for those of you that are not familiar with the divine feminine masculine journey and the karmic would be essentially the third party. So if you've ever been cheated on or had your spouse have an affair on you, that is the moniker for that in this community, is the karmic, meaning a karmic lesson. Was Donald Trump not a karmic lesson in every single way? Whether you felt allegiance to him or not, there were many that did, that I heard them say, what the hell is he doing if he tweets one more day? There were some that were objective. Yeah, I gotta retract that and be fair. There were some that thought, why did I put him there? Yeah. This is also something that your masculine may feel as they reflect later and the calamity comes, because with a karmic, calamity is inevitable. They will drain finances. They will drain your sanity. They will ruin your relationships with your children. They will have their wives turn the White House Christmas trees to blood, like The Shining. You know, little things like that, that are terrifying, but also quite clear. We never had misgivings about why those karmics were there. They'll spread COVID at, super spreader events. They'll do a lot of things. Diseases happen when we go back to the karmic and the masculine, yeah? So we're talking about spiritually transmitted diseases and also sexually transmitted diseases. And that is not to say that anybody cannot be prone to that, but that is something that I notice happens a lot in that dynamic, is that someone gets something and then it turns left and it goes ugly and then now you feel bound. It's a whole thing. That is part of the karmic sin. And all of that because someone got bored. Well, our country got bored. So we were dealing with porn star payouts and a mafia, like not well-run mafioso energy he's always aspired to be. When I think of someone who actually did it well, even though I'm sure that there is a special hell for a lot of the things that he did, I think of Pablo Escobar. If any of you guys have watched Narcos, you're very familiar. If you've ever been interested, that thing has always fascinated me growing up in the Keys and watching bales of cocaine and things like that float up on my shores all the time. So I always paid attention to the drug trade and that whole thing and was always fascinated with mafioso energy. Anyway, Pablo Escobar was a mastermind. And the reason that I'm saying this is because that is not what you will find in Donald Trump, okay? He wanted to be Pablo Escobar. Pablo Escobar was actually brilliant and also maniacal and a sociopath and a murderer. So that's another story for another day. But that's what I always saw. He actually overthrew the government as well through force as well. Very similar. That's what I talked to Jeff about from the start. Remember Jeff, my station manager? I said, he reminds me of Pablo Escobar. Listen, when my angels come through, y'all, what do I know? I always say I'm just conduit passing the energy through me. The prediction was so eerily accurate, literally with the overthrowing of the government, though Pablo did it with tanks and bombs and other things. Oh, wait, they had bombs, they had gallows, they had nooses, they had zip ties, they had gas mask, they had pepper spray, they had fire, they had sticks, they had batons, they had knives. Oh yeah, they overthrew the government too. Very similar to what Pablo did. That's what Donald Trump wanted to do. The issue here with Donald Trump is that we got complacent, and that happens in any marriage. Let's face it, right? Any of us can get complacent in our marriages. We are human. We want something exciting. We were married to that president energetically, or our country chose him. We with this ring, with this inauguration, we thee wed. But when we moved to Donald Trump, we didn't think that Capitol Police and innocent Black people and Asian people would end up dead. And white people, because that Capitol Police officer was Caucasian, and how many more. And forget about the fighting. Let's talk about the virus, which was handled so poorly, rather. How many of us have passed away? I just finished having COVID. And I spoke with a client today whose nephew was 24 and passed away. It really puts things in perspective. We have a new president and the vaccinations are out, and yes, Trump took credit and takes all the clout. But what he did do is what a karmic will do, and what a karmic will cause your masculine to do, was he lied and he denied. And he created subterfuge and confusion. What he could have just looked us in the eyes and said, get ready. It's about to hit the fan. But he cared more about how it made him look than about any of us taking deep breaths without a mask again. The karmic situation and the juxtaposition is very similar. You may notice your masculine gets caught up with the community, appearances, and what other people feel and think, and they will eschew their greater wisdom, their better selves, and their intuition to fit in to a thing. And you think, this is not the person I knew on the brink. That's what we thought about our country too. This is not who we are. This is not what we do. But week after week and month after month, we watched him unravel. All of the stability, all of the benign calmness that we had accrued with the president that was before him, that he also did a smear campaign to ensure that he got in. Do you remember the birther conspiracy? The karmic starts, remember Sparta. Okay, so remember Sparta is from the movie 300, but it's very much a war cry to say this injustice has been done to us, so we shall avenge ourselves. Well, Donald's pre-war cry was, this is a birther, we got to get him out, he's running the country to the ground. All the while, like your karmic, he was so deeply insecure and jealous of the president that came before him. He'd been trying to run him into the ground for years before he ever took the presidency. And he thought, one day the person in that position will be me, and I'll do a better job, and I'll not just get 2 terms, I'll stay forever because I'm a king. And this is a lesson that you guys are going to learn. When I get in, it will always be Donald's turn. That's what your karmic thought. Or the karmic that interfered, the third party, whomever your partner had at the affair or betrayed you with. They were very sure. So covetous, so jealous, they may have tried to emulate you, but found out when they got in the position there were some things that they couldn't do. They were actually inept, actually not educated, actually incorrect, actually an embarrassment, actually calamity, actually tower moments, actually the breaking down of a society. In your case, with your relationship, the breaking down of the society would be the familial structure that you built, your immediate nucleus there. That's what broke down. That I want to be clear about. But what I will say is, when we look in the political arena and in that field, there were so many moments where we thought, Donald, surely you will yield. And that's the thing about a karmic and any karmic running the USA, is they are delusional. They are bat-ish crazy every day. They really think that they are capable of taking over from the predecessor or taking over for you. Have no idea about the heavy lifting that you did or you still do. Yeah? So don't be dismayed, guys. It all fizzles out, just like we watched with that family. There are things that cannot be stood. Martin Luther King said, the moral compass of the universe, always bends towards justice. Eventually, a balance is regained, and eventually we return to being sane. But now we have an actual ability to measure what works, and we have context of how bad it could get or how much worse. I don't think we were really grateful for our democracy. I don't think some of your partners were grateful for the beautiful energy. I don't think that we were grateful for how smoothly our country ran and was run. I don't think your partner was grateful for the amazing things that you've done. I don't think that we understood how much we had to lose. I don't think your partner understood why it was important that they choose. You can't get things through lies or major indiscretions, because God of wonders, angels and ancestors are always standing by to see if you've learned your lesson. Many lessons will be learned, but we're dealing with a narc. So that energy over there was always a lark. It was a facade meant to embolden and empower his personality. He did not give one single damn about the people or this country, as evidenced by multiple behaviors. If you're interested, I'll break it down, what I think about that, in a video where we just get real political and nerd out. But I wanted to bring this to you and say, make the parallel to the presidency, the stability, that president, and your karmic and masculine, and what was going on. What was all that about? If you see the parallels, maybe you'll find yourself creating from contrast a new relationship that's better for you, where you actually get your needs met and you actually manifest a counterpart that's willing to work and be cooperative with you, right? That's what we sought in our next president. And while I'm sure he will not be perfect, what we know now is that we're worth more. And better days ahead, we deserve it. That's the takeaway from your karmic, the triangulation, and the masculine. Okay? Sometimes these people come in to teach us lessons. There are lessons that your masculine will learn with the karmic. That's why I had to wish them well, and not just say go to hell. I actually had to wish them well, because there were things that karmic will help the person in my life figure out and do. There were things that Donald Trump taught us about how we can be better and what not to do, right? I cried the day that he was inaugurated, and I talked to someone that passed away that I used to know, and I said, how could this happen? How could this be so? And my angel said, we are in the thing. We will never leave or abandon your side, but buckle up, ladies and gentlemen, because it's going to be a bumpy ride. They never lied, y'all. They never lied. Now we know what humanity looks like. Now we don't make fun of disabled people. Now we wear our poom poom hats with power. Now we know how precious our voting rights are, even as they strip them from Georgia once again, with Stacey Abrams being like the X-Men of voting. God bless her. Now we know what we stand to lose: our rights, our ability to show up and be seen, transgenders in the military, what is okay for the LGBT, should a woman have a flight suit if she's in pregnancy, Tucker Carlson, oh my God, part of the de facto ex-presidency. What I will say is that we had the opportunity to learn so much, and it came through pain. But what did Arnold, a Republican, Republican governor, always say? No pain, no gain, right? I can't do his accent, but no pain, no gain. What we gained was insight and the knowledge that we deserve more and we can have more and things can be better. But it wouldn't have happened unless we were in a dark night of the soul. And that's what we were just in this last presidency. Forget about your political affiliations, excuse me. Just look at the morality that evaporated from our nation with expediency as soon as Donald came down those stairs. It changed us. And that's why that karmic was placed there. Donald Trump was America's karmic. The karmic in your life changes your partner and it changes you so that you can move on and create something that is imbued with love, that is actually guided, where you're actually seeking, okay? So it's not just about being in that pain and steeping. Lord knows I have been there and I've done it. We cannot stay stagnant even now that we have a new president and we've moved on, because we've learned those lessons and now we have to rebond as a country. Okay, guys? So I'd love to hear your thoughts and feedback. I am sure this is going to bring on the clowns and the trolls. I'm sure they will arrive with all of their opinions, but that's okay. If any of you guys use cognitive reasoning and stop operating from just that prefrontal cortex, because that's what I saw. Monkeys climbing the Capitol, ironically. Yeah, monkeys, yeah. Interesting. Primates climbing the Capitol, scaling walls. There was a Komodo dragon recently that was like climbing shelves inside of a market, an Asian market somewhere. And I was like, oh, that's what those people look like with those MAGA hats. Yeah. Is everyone with a MAGA hat bad? No. And tribalism like that can't stand, though it was whipped up. That jingoistic energy of being, it's America first and it's our country and you don't belong here. Yeah. Not everybody in that hat or who voted for that president necessarily feels like that. We saw many interviews as the times went on. I talked to many people that regretted it. I talked to my favorite professor who's a Republican. Got to see him as I was taking a test a few months ago at the college I went to, and I said, I think of you every time he's on. He said, I think of you too, because we used to debate in class about that many years ago. And he was like, I just wish he would not tweet and shut up. He's still Republican. He still voted for him. He still supported him. But from an ethical and moral standpoint, he understood that America's karmic was undoing the good that our country once stood for. And even though we have a long way to go and there are so many things to heal, it changed all of our perception. It changed the way we feel. When a karmic comes into your life, it will do the same, especially if your masculine wants to play the blame game. It's hard because taking accountability is what you have to do in order to move forward, in order to push through. And I think that we did that, right? We got out and we did the vote. And here's how you vote in your personal situation. You leave the alligators, the barracudas, the sharks, vipers, and snakes in the moat. And you go to higher ground, divine feminine, divine masculine, and you go to higher ground, patriot, countryman, and you find yourself and you center yourself and you put it in context and remember your gratitude for those more calmer, placid days. That's what you have to do. All right, guys, I'm so glad to share that message with you. Let me know what you think. Come back and join me next time and we will evolve together.